What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to Thursday night's Anfield Agenda, late night agenda. Loads to get through today, and yes, before you ask, we have triggered the release clause, and that deal is going to be happening, so we'll get stuck into that. We'll talk about Hoyson and the ultimatum that his camp have given to Real Madrid regarding the wages and stuff like that. We're going to speak about Florian Wirtz and how likely that may be. We're going to speak a bit about Ray and Cherky. We have loads to get through. It's been a really busy past 24, 48 hours, so stick with me and we'll do our best to get through everything. But just in case you're coming in, you just want to know about the situation with Frimpong. Yes, we have some very credible sources. Do you know what? I'm not even going to tickle your nuts a little bit tonight. We're going to get straight into it. Paul Joyce has said that Liverpool have triggered the release clause for Jeremie Frimpong at Bayer Leverkusen, and he will likely be the Reds' first summer signing of the window. So look, little one, early days there, just to get early doors, just for everyone that came in early. We will talk about that in more detail, of course, to the best of our understanding. It can be paid in 4 installments, but, you know, we'll worry about that a little bit later. So yes, there you go. Bing bang bosh. So it's not done then. Okay, so a transfer can't be done before a window opens, my genius of a friend. But I'll tell you what, I'll just make your life a lot easier, my life a lot easier, and we'll just get rid of your smart arse comment. 1 second. Let me just get rid of this, lad, because I'm not in the mood to put up with any bullshit today. So let me just remove you. Thank you very much for all your sarcasm, and off you pop. Right, sorry, let me just get that back. Welcome back in. Yeah, again, not here to put up with people's stupidity or people being an asshole. It is done. If you want to argue about semantics of it, fair enough, but again, we can't break transfer rules and register a player before a window opens. That's just not possible. But again, you've plenty of other channels you can go and view, mate, and be smart to, but I'm not here to listen to your nonsense. So yes, it is done. It is done. Everything has been agreed pretty much with regards to the wages and stuff like that, and he will become a Liverpool player. He will be Liverpool's first signing of this summer's transfer window. But there's lots more to come after that, and what we're going to try and figure out tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly how far along we are with other deals and what will we expect with regards to outgoing. So there is a load to get through tonight. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the earlier video, but we were speaking about a bit of an interesting development from the Bayern Munich side around Florian Wirtz. This came from a Bayern Munich fan, what are they called, Space, and I will take you through that and exactly what was said in there as well, because it looks like, well, Bayern Munich have not only annoyed Bayer Leverkusen, but also annoyed Florian Wirtz's family with the way they've gone about it. So lots more to go through. The Wonder Man. Evening, Craig. How are you doing? I'm good, my friend. Yeah, good. Very busy day today, as you can imagine. Trying to keep up to date with everything when it's moving so quickly is nuts. But we will adhere to get through as much of the news as we can. So look, where do we want to really kick off tonight then? If you want to talk Frimpong, well, let me say this. It's going to be a 5-year the release clause has now been triggered, as we've seen by Paul Joyce. So it's just a matter of when at this point. Wages, as we know, isn't going to be a stumbling block with anybody. It's been mentioned numerous times that it's not going to be a problem. And he's already interestingly been at the AXA, although not for a transfer talk. Do you remember when we played Leverkusen in the Champions League? They were invited to train at the AXA the day after, and that was something that was taken up by Xabi Alonso and the Leverkusen team. So we've already had the likes of Wirtz and that have a little look around the AXA, so he knows how impressive that training facility would be. Wesley, how are you, my friend? Always lovely to see you in, and thank you again for your support, my friend. So, Craig, have you seen the Robbo to Celtic rumours? I haven't, but somebody caught my eye saying it in the chat, mate, just before we went live, and I will adhere to look into it. But the last time that I'd had any information around the left-back situation was that it was going to be Costas that gets moved on, and we said that on a few occasions. I don't think that Celtic could afford to pay Andy Robertson's wage, in all honesty. You know, what is he on now at Liverpool? 120, 140 grand a week, something like that. I can't imagine that Celtic would be able to do it. Now, again, you know, Robbo would have close ties up there, and it would be a romantic story if it happened. I don't know anything about it personally. But if it does happen, of course, we'll talk about it, and I will promise you I will look into it, Wesley. Ash, how are you? I really like McAtee. What do you think? The young kid from Manchester City. Only seen a handful of appearances from him, to be honest with you. But City have some good talent in their academy. There's no denying that. Chelsea, again, another great academy. Liverpool's academy, no slouch either. But yeah, he looks interesting if we're talking about the same guy, the one from Manchester City. But again, we ain't going to be doing that business there. Hey Craig, from Essex, my toddler watching with me. Oh, hello. Hello, Shane and child. I hope we're both well. And thank you, my man, for your support. Appreciate you. I will adhere to keep the bad language to a minimum. But again, I can't promise you I won't swear altogether. But nice to see you guys in tonight and thank you for your support. V. Aaron said, I know we want Frimpong as a right back, but if Bradley bulks up and fixes injury issues, would Frimpong become a long-term Salah replacement? So, look, I can't say to you about long-term replacement being a guarantee, but what I could say to you is you're on the money there with a possible cover for Mohamed Salah. For instance, if Salah goes, or when Salah goes to the AFCON, well, maybe we see Frimpong push further up on the right-hand side. I just don't think long-term we could rely on him to put up the numbers, or even close to the goals, especially that Mo does. But he could certainly fill in that position short-term. And interestingly, on Chiesa, this one's quite weird. Just before I went live, I just seen something posted from LFC Transfer Room, and they're crediting an Italian journalist, Ciro Venerado, who said the agent of Federico Chiesa is unaware of any approval from Liverpool to sell Federico to Napoli. There's only denials. So genuinely don't know what's going on around the Chiesa situation. Be nice to get some clarity on what Liverpool's stance is here, whether they want Chiesa to continue with the club and maybe he does get given opportunities, or as these reports from Italy continue to grow about a potential move to Napoli, if there's something in that. I just don't know at the moment what's happening. It did look like they were approaching something resembling an outline of a deal according to reports from Italy, but let's wait and see what happens with it. Patrick said, just a scenario, if PSG came up with an offer for Ibu worth 50 to 60 million, take it or turn it down. So, I would imagine if PSG put the offer in, that they would be confident that the player wants to move. It's really unusual for a football club just to throw out offers for a player if they haven't spoken to the player's camp. So in this scenario that you've mentioned, it would probably be the case that Canade doesn't want to extend at Liverpool. Now look, as we sit here, truly don't know. It's another thing that's been very silent, and it's another thing that we're all trying to figure out. But in that scenario, would I take it? Yes. If the player had communicated that he wished to go there, then yes, I would take the money. My own personal preference, Patrick, is for Ibrahima Konate to stay. But 50 to 60 million, I would say, with 1 year to go on his deal, that would be a number that I would do business at if there was no possibility of extending. Cal, nice to see you again, my friend. Hey, Craig. Petty of me. Hey ho. Love the fact that we seemingly have replaced Trent before he's even gone out the door. See you, pal. Enjoy your paella. I don't like paella, but thank you. Look, it's nice to get that one boxed off nice and quickly, because remember, we had a conversation where Liverpool were eyeing up the possibility of bringing in another right back, and we were told many times that it wasn't a priority. But look how quickly this has moved. And as you've seen, we've gone from Liverpool are looking at it to Liverpool accelerated it when Trent told Liverpool that he was going to be departing in March time. Liverpool have been communicating apparently with Leverkusen since December about their interest, and now we've got that news that the release clause has been triggered. So happy days and welcome to the club. Feels like the club want a star signing after the poor PR, said Camel Deep. So I certainly hope so, my man. So as we sit here and we're having this conversation, Camel Deep, we know that the Florian Wirtz situation is unfolding. But what I don't want to happen as a Liverpool fan, once again, is us to end up with egg on our face and losing out on a player who we've publicly let it be known that we admire, and if he shows any indication of wanting to move to the Prem, that we'd be there or thereabouts. If he does come to the Premier League, I know this sounds like a bit of a big statement, but I think that him alone could be a difference between City maybe winning the Prem and Liverpool winning the Prem. If it comes down to a battle for Wirtz with both of our clubs, I think it would have to be a decisive blow for us if we were managed to get him. If we lost him, it would certainly be a major strengthening of a rival. Like, make no mistake about it, he is a very, very, very talented up and coming player who I'm sure you guys know all about. But they want him as a De Bruyne replacement, and I've known for a long time that they wanted him. They did look at Dominic Szoboszlai previously, but obviously Szoboszlai then came to Liverpool. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the Wirtz stuff, to be honest with you. Lots of people have said the same stuff we heard around Lenny Yoro and the same stuff we heard previously about other players. Will that translate into Liverpool actually putting up the money? I hope so, but let's wait and see. Corbin, how are you, bro? I don't understand Wirtz. I know we need a creative. Right, so it would just be one of those that he is a generational talent, for want of a better phrase. And if he becomes available on the market, everybody, and I mean everybody, the football clubs in England, journalists, media over in Germany as well, everybody assumed that he was going to go to Bayern Munich. It almost felt like it was a done deal and there was no point in talking about it. But I want to read through some notes that we made from that Bayern Munich Bayern space. You can probably look at this yourself. But we'll take you through some of the reasons why Liverpool and Manchester City are now becoming a bit more optimistic that perhaps we could see something happen. So let me just run through these quick bullet points for you and it might give you an understanding. So over the last couple of weeks, there's been a bombardment from Bayern Munich in the media and stuff in Germany, just suggesting that a deal was close to being done. The player only wants Bayern Munich, but things have changed a little bit. So Bayern let false media reports about a deal with Florian Wirtz circulate without denying them. This was a strategy to put pressure on Leverkusen into lowering the asking price. Because remember, Bayern only wanted to pay about 80 for Wirtz, whereas Liverpool and Manchester City apparently were willing to go as high as 150 million euro, there or thereabouts 125 million pound. This piece goes on to say, and these are from Bayern fans, now remember this, that it backfired and it angered Florian Wirtz's father, Hans, who felt blindsided by it and disrespected. The Wirtz family was upset by Bayern's arrogant and entitled approach. They travelled to England to explore other options with Manchester City in a strong position. Florian is more open to a Premier League move than before. Bayern's strategy alienated the player and gave rivals an advantage. And this is coming from a Bayern space. So as you can see, they seem stressed about it. They seem worried that the way Bayern have gone around this deal for Wirtz may have alienated them. And that's where Liverpool and Manchester City come in. Now, it's a long way between us looking at a player and us actually getting them through the doors, but let's wait and see what happens with it. If you get Wirtz, he will be the next Coutinho, hopefully. Well, we had a very interesting conversation, Mohammed, last night about this, and we were all trying to figure out where we play him. You know, do you put him in that Dominic Szoboszlai position? Does he become a false nine? Is he a second forward? Is he a wide player? And truth is, the answer to all of them could be yes, or none of them. But look, let me just say this. I would rather have Florian Wirtz in the team than not in the team. And if there is an option at all to sign him, I certainly hope we take the option up and make it happen. What that means for other transfer targets and regards to fees, again, something we'd have to talk about as and when it happens. But I'm not holding my breath. Let me put it that way. I'm not holding my breath that we sign him because FSG, and I'm preconditioned to being concerned about them spending. But again, it's moving along and we're going to have to just see how it pans out. I would like us to sign Hiroki Ito from Bayern, said Ashton Ratcliffe. Thank you, my friend. Honestly, don't know much about him. Don't watch much of Bayern Munich, or Hollywood FC as they're referred to. So look, I want to go through some more notes here because I don't want people coming in just seeing me reading out super chats and feel like I'm not going through the news. So let me give you some interesting bits and pieces. So we'll start off with Ben Jacobs, who said that Liverpool are aware of Rodrigo being a market opportunity. And for me, it was really interesting the wording of that post because it seems like a something and nothing post, but market opportunity is the phrase that sticks in my mind because how many times have we been told that Liverpool are open to opportunistic signings if the market dictates? So let's wait and see if we do. Let's say we lost out on Wirtz as an example. Do you then go for Rodrigo? Is he another viable option if Wirtz doesn't work out? These are all things that, as I sit here right now, I don't have a definitive answer to, but are distinct possibilities. But I understand skepticism as well. I absolutely do. Which is why I got so wound up at the start of the stream by Mr. Smartar saying, so it's not done then. It is done. I'm telling you right here and now, Frimpong's going to be a Liverpool player. Joyce and many others have told you he's going to be a Liverpool player. But if we want to get stuck into semantics, then no deal can be done until the window opens. But I'm just telling you, putting my nuts on the line like everybody else to say, it is done. Frimpong will be a Liverpool player. So we can take it from that, and we'll keep going talking about the other targets and potential outgoings as well. I am absolutely buzzing today, folks. I am. Feels like the transfer window's really kicking off now. And what our friend said a few minutes ago about, was it Mohammed? Excuse me, I can't remember if it was Mohammed or where was the other gentleman? Camel Deep, maybe, I think it was. Said that after the negative PR around Trent and the way that has dictated the news cycle, yes, I definitely do feel like this is a pushback and a statement to go, the club aren't going to be wobbled here. The club are pushing forward. Now on not Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, some weird developments, right? So it looks like Huijsen's going to Real Madrid. They've triggered the release clause. They're meeting with the agents and they're talking numbers. And it looks as if, by all accounts, his preference is to go there. But something interesting happened over the last hour or two. And one of the posts said that his agency have given 24 hours to Real Madrid to come up with a number that they deem acceptable, or they're going to start listening to Premier League offers. I think this is a bit of brinksmanship maybe, but let's wait and see what happens with it. It is just a very interesting one. And I've got stuff on Ray and Cherky coming up as well in a few minutes. So much news. I honestly can't sleep on days like today. I think I've had about 4 hours sleep last night. I'm on the phone and I'm working all day today going through all the news, and I'm like an excited child at Christmas. How much would Wirtz be worth? Can we do a poll? Well, it doesn't really matter what we think. The price tag seemingly is 150 million euro. Now, I'm sure that Liverpool or Man City, if he's willing to come to the Prem, are going to try and knock that number down a little bit. But I think it's safe to say we're talking about a £100 million player there. How much is he worth? Well, Transfermarkt, I believe, have him valued at about 109 million, something like that. But I think it's fair to say he is a superstar. I feel comfortable saying that. But this is all really worrying because you sit here saying all this stuff and you put glowing praise on the player, but you're also really concerned that he goes to a rival and then you end up having said all these great things about a player who ends up in a Man City shirt and you feel heartbroken. So I don't want to go too deep into it with regards to positivity because I'm honestly just cautiously optimistic. I think that's the phrase. Shane said, do you think Slot would use Frimpong and Kirkes as wing-backs further up the pitch and start using a back three? I also think Diaz was a false line experiment if Wirtz comes. You'll never walk alone, my dude. Well, thank you. And I don't think we'll change into a back three. No, because I don't think we have enough centre-backs first and foremost. I don't think we have anywhere near enough. There is nothing to say, though, that we don't tuck into a back three and have a midfielder cover the right back situation or the left back situation, as we've seen before when Trent or Robbo was flying forwards. I think what I'd say, Shane, is we shouldn't try to figure this one out for now. Let's just see who comes in and then we'll try to figure out in pre-season what way Arna looks at utilising that squad. This just seems like an opportunity that Liverpool thought would give us two good options on the right-hand side, was very, very affordable price-wise, ticks the homegrown quota box as well, as Liverpool need to look at that. So it just seems like a deal that makes sense, you know. We can all debate back and forth about where we think his best position will be, or if we needed a more defensive-minded right-back, or anything, you know. That's what we can do as fans. But the club looked at it and probably went, £30 million, 4 installments, and his wages are fairly reasonable enough as well. Yes, please. And I don't blame them. I think it's good business. Aaron Garza. So we haven't had a creative attacking mid in a long time. I think Salah would be licking his chops at the idea of his IQ and distribution along with Frimpong's pace and runs aiding him. Absolutely. It's a great shout, Aaron. The overlapping runs, the space and underlapping runs as well, by the way, which is something Mo utilises really well. You know, that lovely little slide rule pass that he plays. So, yeah, it would be great. But the real creativity for me would still need to come in. And I'm talking the likes of a Cherky, a Wirtz, and we're starting to see more links coming out to those, what I would call old-fashioned number 10s to some extent. So we'll talk about Cherky in a minute because, as I've mentioned, the news is just flying through. 1 second, I need to call. Kev Parker said Wirtz will be worth every penny. He's the new Coutinho without a doubt. Still young and world class. Would be boss the midfield and box. It would be a dreamland to get him in. I'm almost too scared to be too fulsome in the praise, Kev, because I'm worried about Man City. Because what I do know is, I know Man City have put in a lot of groundwork on this over a long period of time. But I also know, and look, this isn't anything secret, everybody's been talking about it. The belief was that he was going to stay in Germany. So what you've even seen in reporting today has been that you'll see a mix of the German side saying Liverpool are absolutely in the mix, but it's been a bit more cautious on the English side of it. Journalists have been saying things like, and by the way, I agree with the journalists on this, things like, if he shows any indication he's willing to come to the Premier League, then Liverpool and Manchester City would move even more forward with it, particularly in Liverpool's case. They just don't want to go in for a player and have another situation with the likes of Azuba where he changes his mind and wants to stay. Now, reports tonight in Germany suggest he's already told Leverkusen that he wants to depart Leverkusen. So then you're looking at Bayern Munich or the Prem. You know, Real Madrid don't need him, as much as I'm sure Alonso wouldn't have minded him. So then you're looking around the world and thinking, well, who? No talk really of PSG being in for him. So if it's a battle between Liverpool and Manchester City, I can't tell you who wins that because I don't know the proposals from each group. But I know that we could, at the very least, say, well, we have no potential charges hanging over us. There's no negative PR potentially attached to your name and brand. Because remember, Florian Wirtz and his family have worked really hard to build his career, manage his career, and do things in a certain way. The Manchester City situation, it leaves doubt. Because what if he's unveiled as a City player and they're found guilty and there's loads of negative PR and you're then playing for a club that have been found guilty of cheating? It's not a great look. So if I'm Liverpool, that's the pitch I'm making. Come play for the Premier League champions. Come play in a team that is being built to win the Champions League, the Premier League, and play in front of the best fans in world football. That would be the pitch, I would imagine. Shane Almond again said, my little lady, Hope also waved at the screen, said, hi. Oh, can't say Craig, yeah. Hello, little lady. I hope you're having a lovely day. I am, because Frimpong's about to become a Liverpool player, so I'm sure that makes you very happy as well. Oh, bit of a weird one, right? I know, but I am now on Cameo. If anybody's stupid enough to want me to swear at them or anything like that, you can find me on Cameo now. Just sorted that out today. So, bit of a weird one, I know, but I thought, hey, look, why not? I'm in this to try and change my family's life, and if somebody wants me to call somebody a CUNT or anything, why not? Who am I to begrudge? John said, do you think Wirtz can actually happen? That smells like a poll to me, John. So let's ask what... I'll give you my opinion, of course I will, my friend, but let's get the poll up. So let's get cracking. I'm going to ask you guys, do you think it could actually happen? Right, so do you think Wirtz to Liverpool can happen, yes or no? And we'll come back to it. Now, I will, of course, give you my answer, John. Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen? I would lean more favour to no than yes. So don't want to give you a percentage, but I would certainly be leaning towards no. If somebody gave me 50 quid and said, you have to put it down on he signs or he doesn't, I don't think it would be right of me to sit here and say, yes, I think we sign him. Because again, we've not seen any indication of our club doing deals of that magnitude. It would be a very welcome change of pace and direction from the owners, but I can certainly say it's possible. Now, if you said to me tonight, Craig, he said he's not going to Bayern Munich and he wants to come to the Prem, then my conversation starts to change a little bit. Then I'm thinking, okay, it's very possible. But what I don't want to do is get everyone worked up, get myself worked up, get all excited about it, and then have a Caicedo situation where we're all heartbroken about it. So, yeah, I'm just kind of cautiously optimistic, but we'll wait and see. Do you think we will sign a new striker? So I think your question and John's question are probably somewhere linked in my thought process. So if we signed Florian Wirtz, do we sign the new striker? Genuinely, I'm not sure. Because if Arno wants to play with a false nine, or he wants to wait for Dan's, or he wants to move Mo central, or, Jota stays as an example, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, because if you look down to the priorities, right, we do need a forward, but if Wirtz potentially going to be a false nine or something, then maybe not. Is left back, right back, centre back then? So, truth is, I think it may depend on what we see and how much we spend on an attacking midfielder. But I think it's more of a priority right now. Before this window, when we all didn't know about the Wirtz stuff and we're just sitting here talking, we all think we need a centre forward, right? We do. So I will still say yes, but again, it's the money. You're not going to spend that and then go out and spend 100 million on, I don't know, a Kittiket or somebody. It just doesn't seem realistic, but we'll have to wait and see. Do you think you will get your day off? Yeah, it's funny you mention this, Eddie. I'm supposed to have the next 2 nights off live streaming. And I don't know is the honest answer. I try to judge these things for when it's going to be quiet. And I thought it was going to be a quiet weekend because we didn't play till Monday. But I don't know. My plan is to take tomorrow and Saturday off live streaming it. But Eddie, best plans and all that. Mohammed said, off the topic, is everything gone quiet on the city charges? Haven't heard anything in a while. Yes, it has. It was expected March, April. But apparently it's so uber complicated and they're making sure everything in whatever the result is as legally spot on as possible. Look, I don't understand, mate, the intricacies of these things, but like you and everybody else, I'm eagerly awaiting to see what happens there. I don't know if anybody's had the nod on it. I don't know if City are aware of the decision yet. I don't know if the Premier League are aware of the decision yet. But it has dragged on way too long. And again, it's probably still going to drag on even longer because whatever happens, I would imagine one side or the other will appeal and we'll probably see it happen or we'll probably see it dragged out for another year or so. So yeah, for the here and now, I don't know. But one thing I would say to you is I don't think it gets spoken about enough in the media. I really, really don't. Like, I'm sick of seeing stories about Pep and Manchester City and 4 in a row and how great they are and how they're looking to spend another 150, 200 million. And it's like nobody seems to want to acknowledge that they could have been found to have cheated. Let's wait and see if they do whenever we get the result. Heavy Metal D, how are you, my man? Said 21 months on this fantastic channel. Feels great. Also been on Twitter and saw that apparently we're looking at Christopher Nkunku from Chelsea. I have seen that link. I don't know if I don't believe it or I don't want to believe it. I'm kind of stuck in which one I'm at there. Because if you asked me before he went to Chelsea, could Nkunku have done a job at Liverpool? I'd have probably said absolutely yes. I always have reservations because I know PSG are his club and he said it open and publicly that if Paris ever comes a call in from wherever he is, that he'll probably move. And that was something that really didn't sit well with me and that I didn't want a player coming in like that I know if somebody flutters their eyelashes at him and he wants to go back to Paris, then we'd be without. So I would rather stay clear of him, but I've seen the story you're on about. I just don't have a clue if there's any truth to it or not. Aaron said, surely it has to be Rodrigo or Wirtz. You could throw Cherky into the mix as well. And I know that Cherky doesn't seem as exciting and sexy at the minute because we're talking about 200 million players and then we go down to 20 million for Cherky. But I don't know where the club's head's at, and I don't know where the priorities are at with regards to centre forward, attacking midfielder. I think the priorities the defence, right back, left back, centre back, but I'm not going to say no to a creative player after losing Trent as well. Maybe things have changed a little bit since Trent said he was leaving, and we need that creativity. What's this? Sorry, I'm getting sent stuff all the time. Okay, Stefan Wojciech. So what's this? So Celtic told. Okay, so what's this one? Celtic told Andy Robertson move as possible. It's an absolutely nothing story that states comes from Fernando Morientes giving an opinion. So yeah, I wouldn't be getting stuck into the stuff with Robbo and Celtic just yet. Although it is a romantic idea. Stevie Boy, how are you, my man? A name that's getting my interest and would love at Liverpool is Adam Wharton from Palace. Yes, thank you for bringing that one up. Let's talk about Adam Wharton for a little bit, because certainly been some links today with Liverpool and Adam Wharton. So it was, I think it was one of the Palace media that said Liverpool are monitoring the situation of Adam Wharton. It was at Jack Gaughan, Gaughan, and credit Anfield Sector on the post. Look, I love him. Adam Wharton's a quality player. And I'm going to say those two words again, Manchester City, because they'd looked at him previously. I don't know if their interest has gone away because they brought in Gonzalez from Portugal, and that he is now back up to Rodri, or playing in Rodri's position for now. And I don't know if they've given up their interest in Adam Wharton. But I think it's right to be looking at him and at least keeping an eye on the situation, because he's a really good player. Did you see that there are 3 Liverpool players up for the Player of the Season award? Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Ryan Gravenberch all in the running, and best of luck to all of them. Right, let's check in on our poll. Okay, one sec. Right, so we've already had 1,300 votes on it. Keep voting away in it, because it is close. It's only been up 7 minutes, so we're going to leave it a little bit longer. And the question is, do you think Wirtz to Liverpool can happen? Yes or no? And it's really close. So we're going to keep it going a little bit longer. Right, folks, I have a couple of favours to ask. There was 3,500 amazing people with us. Firstly, thank you. You're all legends. Appreciate you. Secondly, if you could drop a quick like for me and hit that subscribe button if you haven't hit it. Let's see if we can get to 312,000 subscribers. We need 143 more. And if you haven't hit that button yet, please do. Right, loads to go through. That was an amazing pitch, Craig. LFC should be having you on the payroll. Everything you've said is spot on, and I think Wirtz would appreciate Liverpool more than many City. 100%. Like, genuinely, putting aside our Liverpool bias here, Kev, we are a better move for him. Like, if you're a footballer and you're leaving a team like Leverkusen who have brilliant fans, let's be honest, there's no comparison between playing for Liverpool and playing for Manchester City. If you're playing for Liverpool, you're playing for a historic club with a worldwide renowned fan base that have just won the Premier League, that have a great image all around the world. Or you could go play for Manchester City, where, yes, you're going to win stuff, but it may feel hollow, and you're going to be playing in front of fans who don't even show up half the time for certain games, or a stadium that just doesn't have the same atmosphere. It should be a no-brainer, unless you are maybe motivated by money and their offer is streets ahead. And I don't know Florian Wirtz to know what motivates him or what doesn't, but from a footballing project, I would say Liverpool would be one that you never regret that move in your career if you came. Waiting for my video, Craig. WFM, love to you. Yes, so TOTK 2KZ1 was the first to jump onto the Cameo and order a video for, well, his partner did. And don't worry, mate, it'll be done within 24 hours as promised. And thank you. Billy said, is there any world of Wirtz at right wing? Love Szoboszlai. So, Billy, I think when we talk about Wirtz, everybody just assumes that Dominic Szoboszlai is going to make way. But remember, we have a long season with about 60-odd games in it. And if we want to keep people at their optimal level, as, you know, every team wants to do, then we're going to have to rotate those players. And we're going to have to use players in different positions against different opposition. So I wouldn't look at it as it's a death sentence to Dominic Szoboszlai's Liverpool career if he came in. And could he play on the right? He can play anywhere across the front three. And he can play behind the front three. And it is that versatility, again, that probably gives him even more admirers. So yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know Liverpool's plan for him. I would be a liar if I sat here and told you I know where Liverpool want to utilise him, Billy. I haven't got a clue, but I just know it really excites me. Mythical Returns. Thank you, mate, for being a member with us as well for 21 months. I was nervous about the window, but it's looking like we're finally showing some ambition. Yeah, I'll believe that when they get over the line, though. Like, Frimpong's great, don't get me wrong, but that's a signing that I would expect us to make numbers-wise. You know, he's tried and tested in a good league. He's an international. He's got friends and colleagues at Liverpool. He came up through Manchester City's academy. He's homegrown, and it's 30 million quid. So that seems like a very Liverpool-type deal. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good piece of business. Like when we signed Georgie Mamardashvili, whatever happened there, the price we got him for, I think, was always going to be good business. And Jeremie Frimpong, obviously, is going to give us more energy on that right-hand side with Conor Bradley, and it's going to be interesting. Do you think Kirkes is next after Frimpong? It depends. Like, I could sit here and say yes, but it depends on what the players' camp wants as well. Like, does he want to take a little bit longer to have a think? And actually, I can't believe I'm about to mention them again, but unfortunately, I have to bring Real Madrid's name into the conversation around Kirkes. It is from Marca, and I took this, I believe, from the Echo site, so go over there if you want to read the story. It said, Liverpool just can't seem to escape them in the transfer market. It has been reported from Spain, but Real Madrid have Milos Kirkes on their radar, as well as the Reds. They say here in a fresh update, Marca say he's on the list, but behind Benfica's Alvaro Carreras. And here's hoping that for Liverpool's sake, they can move for Kirkes quickly. Now, there is no excuse for us around Kirkes. If we lose out on him and he was number one target, it will be unforgivable. That's what I would say, because we know that Hughes has the relationship with the agent. We know that Liverpool have been in need in that position. We know the parameters of what the deal would cost. And I hope that we do follow through on it and we get the deal sorted out, because how exciting would it be to kick off the window early doors with Frimpong right, Kirkes left? I mean, hello. Welcome to the transfer window. Brian Conley, how are you, my friend? Said the 4-0 drubbing we gave Leverkusen in the Champions League will be in Florian's mind. Anfield was rocking that night and we were fantastic. And on top of that, Brian, as I mentioned, Leverkusen trained at the AXA the morning after before they went back to Germany. So he will have seen the facilities in and around as well. His teammate, Frimpong, is coming across to Liverpool, and I'm sure if Liverpool needed it, Jeremy could get in Wirtz's ear there, maybe, you know, tell him in training how excited he is and how the vibes that he's getting from Liverpool are brilliant. And, you know, come on now. Look, if he leaves Germany, it's game on between us and City. It really is game on to see who can get a signature. But the smart money has always been on him wanting to stay in Germany. But again, as I pointed out at the start of the stream, there has been a bit of shenanigans from Bayern Munich in the way that they've gone about it. Shane said, I actually want Dan's Kep as the backup to whoever that is. There's really a player there, I think. The sensible thing, though, would be to loan him because he needs games. And I don't think we can guarantee him enough games to check on the level of fitness that we're going to need to see that he can keep up throughout a season. This season's always been almost been a write-off from with the back injury. So, genuinely, I feel a loan move is the smart play there, because he needs the minutes. You may have a recall option in there, but I do think a loan move is the smart play. Neil said, Slot has not been as adventurous as Klopp about playing the youngsters this season. Well, we've been unlucky with a load of injuries for them as well. So Rio has being given lots of time on the training pitch and that. McConnell has gotten minutes. Let's be fair about that. But we've also seen the likes of Tyler Morton pick up an injury towards the end of the season. Even Ben Doak on his loan finished the season with Middlesbrough with an injury. So the opportunities, I guess, were probably limited because we I don't want to say stumbled into a league title race, but we weren't expecting that at the start of the season. And as you keep winning and you keep picking up those points and the gap keeps growing, you're probably just going to keep sticking to the tried and tested 11. And he's always said he doesn't like to rotate that much. Right, so the Egyptian king said, I really think the only reason we would go for him is to stop City doing so. Well, that and the fact that he's a brilliant player, but I totally do understand where you're coming from. It would be a huge battle. If City got him and they have Haaland and Rodri comes back, they've got Marmoush, it would be worrying. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's the only reason, but I'd be a liar, mate, if I said to you that it wouldn't be an added bonus if we could stop them. So 2,000 votes now, and we will say that 53% of you guys and girls think that yes, Wirtz to Liverpool can happen. Interesting. I love your optimism. Playing in front of a full stadium, said Boeing Zibadi as well. Yes, there is that. It always makes me chuckle that Manchester City are extending the Etihad campus when how many times this season have you seen empty seats around the stadium? And I'm not even talking about like when we played them or when they were playing FA Cup quarterfinals or whatever round it was in. They just don't have the fan base. They just don't. They have a really, really great hardcore group of fans who I will always have the respect for that went down through the divisions with Man City. Were filling out Main Road back in the day when they were a couple of leagues down. But with regards to the step up to a global fan base, it all feels like a pump and dump, if you get me. It feels like for a club that's supposed to have X amount of followers and X amount of fans around the world, it doesn't really seem to hold much water when it comes time to pre-season tours or shirt sales, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I just don't think that they are all that they profess to be in that regard. Mohammed said, would love a cheap hidden gem if we can find him. That's it with the other big signings. Well, the cheap hidden gem may be Turkey. So there's a report from Dean Jones, soccer, who I believe works with ESPN, said Ryan Cherki wants to join Liverpool this summer. The Frenchman is hoping to complete a summer move to Liverpool. So Cherki wants to move. Leon wants to sell. It could be possible. But, like I've said, you've got Rodrigo's name, you've got Wirtz's name, you've got Cherki's name. I don't know who the front runner would be. I know who the cheapest would be, and it would certainly be Ryan Cherki by a long, long way, but I don't know. Would you feel underwhelmed if we ended up with Cherki? And let's say Wirtz went to Bayern or Man City. Honestly, be honest with me in the comments. Would you feel underwhelmed if that was the case? Or are we being spoiled? Are we acting like spoiled kids here? I don't know the answer to it, but I can tell you I probably would feel underwhelmed. But that would probably have a lot to do with the fact that I've only seen a handful of Cherki as well. Kyle said, Frimpong, Kirkes and Wirtz, yes please, love the work. Thank you, my man, appreciate your 8-month membership as well. Copwolf said, play Bradley on the left, Frimpong on the right, and let Salah have free roam up front. I've always loved the idea of playing Mo Salah through the middle. It's a question that I get asked quite a bit on the stream as well, but not really seen much by way of it happening. One sec, I think I missed the super chat. Sorry, let me scroll back through. I hate when I miss one. Yeah, this one. Sorry, T-Fang 2, my apologies. Wirtz and Szoboszlai doing the alternating false 9. Oh, hello. Sign me up for that one, my man. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. One dropping deep, the other pushing with a late run. We've seen, now that you've mentioned that, we've sometimes seen variations of that with Jones. making that late run to the box if Diaz has dropped deep, or Szoboszlai or Jones make that late break and run into the penalty area. So, very good shout. Imagine Wirtz and Alvarez. Oh, you're joking me. Come on, John spending 200 and something million quid. I don't know, mate. I don't think his wallet could cope with that. But again, it would be amazing. What I don't want to happen, and I'm going to keep sounding this word of warning, is I don't want us all to get all hyped up on all of these links only to feel underwhelmed again. Because remember FSG's own phrase, under promise and over deliver. That's their phrase. Now it's time to start doing that, because I don't think we've seen too much of that in the transfer market. We've had success on the pitch, no denials there, but in the transfer market, yeah, this needs to be the one that hits. This needs to be the one that strikes fear into other fan bases. And by the way, can I just say something about AFTV really quickly? This isn't personally aimed at anybody on AFTV, but that post that they put up about Liverpool fans and Trent and that idiot of the week or whatever it is they do was nothing short of a fucking disgrace. And if any Liverpool channels want to go and work alongside and with them, you're just slapping your own fan base in the face, because it was disgusting. They tried to make out like Trent was their boo-hoo man of the week when they've been slating him and saying he can't defend for years. And it is just bait and a post that really just sums up what they're all about. And it disgusted me. And not just me, the amount of people that have sent it to me. Because I'm not on Twitter. I don't see these things unless I get sent it. But just completely classless. And I guess just sums up how social media Arsenal fans have been. Just not great at all. Right, what have we got? Off the Post said, I don't want a young striker. I'd like an experienced striker like Lautaro Martinez. He's absolutely world class. I think the odds are we'll buy... Well, I guess it depends what's experience, right? Like, I would look at the likes of Julian Alvarez and say he's really experienced. You know, he's won a World Cup, as has your boy. He's played in the Premier League. He's played in La Liga. So I guess it depends on what we class as experience and what the age profile is. But I don't know the name. I don't know who the Liverpool are looking at in that position. I've said it all the way through. Your guess is as good as mine. Vote between Cherki, Rodrigo and Wirtz. Done. No problem, my man. Sounds like a good idea. Your wish is my command, sir. Let me get this one up for you. So, right, so we'll say pick one to join LFC. So people don't think I'm putting a favour in. Let's go that one first. Let's go that. And last option. Who was the other one that you had in your list, actually, my man? 1 second. Rodrigo. Right, so as per I'm Ron's request, pick one to join Liverpool, Cherki, Wirtz or Rodrigo. I'll leave it up to you guys to let me know who would be your favourite. I certainly know where my head's at, but I don't want to give an answer until everybody has a chance to have their say. So we'll revisit that one in a while. Ian Greenstreet said, I'm embarrassed because I'm from North London and not all Londoners are bad people. Of course they're not, mate. No one, I think, would ever think all Londoners are bad people or anything like that. Not even saying all Arsenal fans are bad people. Not at all. But what the fuck's the point of that post they put up? You know, it is just an attention-seeking, horrible, shitty little post. I just don't get it. And this was the same fella, by the way, or the same channel who... Somebody on it said that they'd heard that some of the booing of Trent was racially motivated. Now, if I said something like that, I'd be cancelled. And rightly so. But these are big things to be saying and they just keep getting away with it. It's just classless. Don't know what else to say. Of all the things you want to talk about Liverpool fans, and we can argue about whether we should or shouldn't have booed Trent till the cows come home, and that's a fair debate. But to insinuate in any way, shape, or form that there was anything to do with race in that, I don't know what to say, except it's disgusting. It undermines genuine racism that we all want removed from society and sport. And it's not something you can casually just throw into a sentence and think you can get away with on a channel that has, what, 2 million, 1.5 million, 2 million subscribers? Look, it's just not great, is it? That's the fairest I can be about it. I got to be careful, because so many of these people love sending legal letters and putting in copyright strikes, and you've got to be careful. But there's a reason why I've never had any association with them, and I never wanted to work with them. I think, in my own personal opinion, they are why fan channels ended up with a bad reputation. That's my take on it. I just don't like them. Never have. Right. Colin said, Ian, I've lived in London for 45 years. My closest friends are Londoners, lovely people. Absolutely. Londoners are sound. I've been over there loads of times. But, my comment was just picking up on a post that was put out there that I just felt was a slap in the face. So if any Liverpool channels out there in the future want to go work with another channel that's out there basically belittling your own fan base, it says a lot more about you. Cherky can play right wing, so he'll be Salah's replacement. Well, they can all play across the front line. The three lads we're speaking about can play pretty much across the front three: Rodrigo, Cherky, and Wirtz. I'd say there's probably a little bit more versatility in Rodrigo and Wirtz, but yeah, just again, versatile players. Right, let's keep going with the news because I want to play catch up on the stuff I've missed out on. What's this one? So this comes from Sport over in Spain, who say Bayern were long believed to be in pole position for Wirtz, but then came Wirtz's flight to England, including appointments in Liverpool and Manchester. Chris Bascom said Liverpool also hold an interest in Leverkusen midfielder Florian Wirtz and will be expected to be in the race if he decides to move to the Premier League. Bayern Munich are also determined to land the Germany international. So, for me, if he doesn't go to Bayern, it's game on, and we and Manchester City will be battling for a signature. But still, a lot of people feel like it's more likely he ends up playing in Bayern. So what's this one? Paul Joyce said, there's also an interest from Leverkusen teammate Florian Wirtz, whom Liverpool have tracked for a number of years, and should he show any inclination to move to the Premier League this summer, then the champions will make, and all caps, strong pitch. On top of that, he said, breaking, Liverpool are expected to approach Leverkusen and formally trigger the release clause. He followed up with that later on to say that Liverpool have triggered that release clause. Let me just read that one out to you. Paul Joyce said, Liverpool have triggered the €35 million release clause for Jeremie Frimpong at Bayer Leverkusen. Football Tweet put that out and tagged Paul Joyce. Right. Cool. Let me get back into more comments. Matt said, how are we with the homegrown quota? It's tough to say at the minute because we had 7 last season and I believe 8 is the requirement. But you can obviously have other players who can top that up. But Frimpong gives us another one. He is homegrown. So that will certainly help in that regard and was another reason why that transfer seemed to make a lot of sense. Joe Ambrose said, Frimpong or Trent defensively? Don't know, because I don't think it's a comparable conversation, because one played in a different system that was a wing back. So I'm not trying to not answer you, but genuinely I don't know. I think it's uncertain which one would be better defensively. What I feel comfortable in saying, Joe, is I think Trent did improve under Arne Slot this season defensively. Stevie Boy said, still think Liverpool go for the cheap option in Cherky. Well, I promise I give you my take once the poll completes, mate, and I will. But let's check in on it and see how it's getting on. Remember, we asked you to pick one of these players to come into Liverpool. So The options are Cherky, Wirtz, and Rodrigo. It's pretty wide at the minute, and we've already had about 1,200 votes, so we'll leave it running a little bit longer. But seeing as how it's so one-sided, I'll give you my take on it. I think, truth be told, I probably think you're right, Stevie boy. I would certainly be a lot less surprised if we ended up buying Cherky than if we bought Rodrigo or Wirtz, but it would certainly be a bigger statement, and it would make me sit up and take notice a lot more and give more credit if we were to go out there and get the likes of Wirtz or Rodrigo. But yeah, like yourself, mate, I think it'll most likely be the cheaper option, but we'll have to wait and see. We just can't have a situation where our window is dictated by waiting around again. I think we have to be decisive, and some things, yes, what Wirtz wants to do, we'll have to wait and see on his decision, but it's exciting. Certainly been a bright start to the window. Right, what have we got here? Alvarez or Wirtz, said Harry Klein. I'd still say Wirtz in that scenario, because look, Wirtz to me could be the next superstar of football in that position, in that creative space between the lines. He's just so talented. I worry about giving him so much praise in case he ends up in a Manchester City shirt, which is a distinct possibility, of course, but I take Wirtz in that scenario. And I do love Alvarez. As you know, he's my number one striker target, but I didn't think Florian Wirtz would be even in this equation with Liverpool. Kev Parker said, I think FSG have to go big this summer and spend some serious dosh. They'll make a lot of it back with shirt sales alone. If buying young, they will have sell-on value. That's something that did stick in my mind about Wirtz. If you did, let's say, lose him in a few years' time, you're probably going to lose him for a load of dough. So, yes, there is always that. You know, it's one of the, I guess, more attractive propositions of buying a younger player if you pay big money is, well, you've two scenarios that might happen. He loves it at the club, does really well at the club, and extends and stays there for a long time, and it's win-win-win. Or maybe somebody comes in and he, has itchy feet and wants to move, and your quid's in then. So either way, yeah, good scenario. But I don't know, I'm too excited. I can barely even keep my thought process straight at this moment in time because I'm buzzing with how this window is starting. And I keep forgetting that we still have 2 league games to play. Chris Lawrence, how are you, my friend? Said, with us being champions and Man City having these charges over their heads, this window is massive for us. We must push this now. Yeah, I agree. We have to capitalise, Chris. We have to strengthen from a position of strength, and we have to strike the fear of God into opposition teams. So let's say if Arsenal went out and brought in Gyökeres, people will go, oh, that's put Arsenal, back in the right track for winning the Premier League. But if we've answered that with bringing in the Florian Wirtz as an example, then I think the momentum shifts again back into our favour. If City do it, I think the momentum will then shift into City's favour. So a lot of big potential signings, but getting them done is going to be important. There's no excuses this summer. They had their time to wait. We had the excuses about new sporting directors and all the other stuff. Now it's time to shit or get off the pot. Right, a couple of quick things, ladies and gents. Again, a reminder that we are now less than 2 weeks out from our end of season shows. Next Sunday, we're going to be at the Hot Water Comedy Club, Liverpool. And then 3 days later, on the 28th, we're going to be back there again. If you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets with a QR code on the screen. And also, you'll see a link with our link tree pinned to the top of the chat and in the description. The Anfield Agenda cameo is now up there as well because, yes, I have decided to jump into the cameo world because it didn't used to be available in Ireland. So got an email from them saying it's now available. So I signed up, and if you want me to dump somebody for you, jump on Cameo and I can do that. If you want me to quit your job for you, hell, I can do that. Or if you want a happy birthday wish or anything else, do check it out. All of our social media links, our show links, the Cameo link and everything is in our link tree, which is that link in the description. Right, let's keep going. Midnight Beat said, I hope we don't end up in the same situation like Subamendi. Oh, mate, look, you're bang on to say that, and I think we'll all agree we don't want to be there. But, to look at it in a different context, Edwards and Hughes weren't at the club then. So it was a very different situation. And I don't think that would have happened if Edwards was here. I just don't. And I've said that consistently over the last few months. So he gives me more faith in us not ending up looking silly in deals. I don't know enough about Richard Hughes yet, of course, because we haven't really seen much of how he operates for Liverpool. We've seen the work and the body of work that he's done, bringing in great players to Bournemouth, and hopefully it's a good sign for us for things to come. Shane said, if we miss out on Kirkes, who are the alternatives for left back? Hatto and Aït-Nouri would be the two names off the top of my head that I think would probably be the most likely. Yeah, I would say those two. And look, honestly, I don't know as much about Hatto, but Aït-Nouri is a very solid player. Another downside to Aït-Nouri that would be we'd lose him to the AFCON again. Right, where are we at? We only need 63 more likes to get to 1,000, folks, and on the day that the Reds are agreeing to sign Frimpong, come on, we'll get those likes up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Connor wants me to plug the Clips channel as well. Our dream of ours has always been to have 2 silver play buttons, one for the Anfield Agenda main channel and one for our Clips channel. And the Clips channel's almost halfway there. So if you haven't, do check out Anfield Agenda Clips and give it a sub on YouTube if you could. Also, the channel, again, continues to have a record month, 9.2 million views now over the last 28 days because of your unbelievable support. Thank you. It frightens the shit out of me to see those numbers, but thank you. Joe Manning said, all right, bro, with City linked with Rangers, do you still think they're going big for Wirtz? Love everything you do. Glad to be in this community. Joe, that's so nice of you, mate. Thank you. They want Wirtz. I don't look like us. I'm sure they're going to have other options, mate. They're going to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. The exact same as Liverpool in this scenario. We're looking now about our options maybe being Rodrigo, perhaps Cherki or Wirtz. I'm sure Manchester City have their own list. So, I do think Wirtz is the preference for them, and I know for a fact that they've been working on the idea of signing Wirtz for a long time. I've only heard Liverpool's name mentioned in the last few weeks, but apparently our interest has been long-standing. But the belief was that he would stay in Germany. So if that changes, maybe the whole landscape for us changes. Right, let's check our poll. So we are at 1,750. We'll leave it go a little bit longer to get to 2,000 votes. Again, the question is, pick one to join Liverpool. Ryan Cherki, Florian Wirtz, or Rodrigo Goes, and we will revisit that one in a couple of moments. Cool. Right, Brooklyn Woods. How are you, bro? Said, what do you think of the Matt O'Reilly from Brighton? He's a very good player. He's the guy who was at Celtic before that. No, sorry. Was it Celtic, Atalanta, Brighton? Or have I got that wrong? I remember him being at Celtic. I swear maybe he went to Italy after that. But looks like a really, really good player. Did he have injuries or something this year with Brighton? Because I don't remember him getting as much game time as I was expecting him to. But a very interesting signing. Yeah, good player. But again, haven't really seen all that much of him in a Brighton shirt. Would have seen more of him before that. I don't think we'll pay 150 million for any players, said Koopy. Well, it would be Euro, and it would probably be the starting point. I think Liverpool or Manchester City would want to knock that price down. Bayern only want to pay £80 million, and Liverpool and City are apparently willing to go 40-45 million above that. So I guess, if the player makes it clear where he wants to go, it certainly gives you an advantage in the negotiation with the selling club, but we'll just have to wait and see. Stephen Shupping said, do you know if the Frimpong release clause was triggered? Well, this post that tags Paul Joyce and credits Paul Joyce from Football Tweet said, Liverpool have triggered the €35 million release clause for Jeremie Frimpong at Bayer Leverkusen. So Yes, I believe it has been triggered, mate. And many other journalists today, as I can go through, have said that he will likely become Liverpool's first summer signing. So let me read you through all the posts we have today, and then we'll get to Daniel's super chat. On Rodrigo, or excuse me, not on Rodrigo, on Frimpong. We'll start off with Florian Plettenberg, who said Jeremie Frimpong and Liverpool are on the verge of reaching an agreement. This is going to go in chronological order from this morning right the way through to this evening. So, start of the day, Jeremie Frimpong and Liverpool are on the verge of reaching a verbal agreement. Talks are progressing with additional details still being clarified. Frimpong is ready for the move to Liverpool and Arne Slot is very keen to sign him. After that, we had, where's the next one? Him. David Ornstein saying Liverpool advancing in talks to sign Jeremie Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen, increasing confidence from the Dutch international's camp that a deal will be struck. Right back keen on the move, personal terms no issue, 35 million clause appeals to Liverpool. After that, was this one? We had The Guardian saying Liverpool are set to trigger Jeremie Frimpong's release clause. Discussions are continuing with the players' representatives, and if a deal can be concluded, Frimpong will become Liverpool's first summer signing. Ian Doyle of The Echo then said Liverpool are in talks to make Jeremie Frimpong their first signing of the summer transfer window. Negotiations are ongoing with the players' representatives to agree a deal with Liverpool ready to trigger the release clause. Then we had Paul Joyce saying Liverpool are expected to approach Bayer Leverkusen and formally trigger the release clause that will make Frimpong the first signing of the club's recruitment this summer. Fabrizio Romano said Jeremie Frimpong and Liverpool just a matter of time. Paul Joyce, not Frimpong related essentially, but said the prospect of it being a busy summer for Liverpool, there is the prospect of it being a busy summer for Liverpool, depending on who looks to leave in search of more game time. Then we had Chris Bascom say Liverpool set to trigger Frimpong's release clause with this season's Premier League secured last month. Focus has switched to defending the title with a recruitment drive to bolster Slot's squad during the summer window. And that then led us all the way up to the situation with Paul Joyce saying that the release clause has been triggered. So there we go. Lots and lots. And as you can see through the day, confidence building, and then bang, triggered. And unlike me, who was also triggered quite easily, this one was an easy one to do. So Daniel, to get to your super chat, my friend, and thank you very much. You said, do you think we didn't really see Slot's game style because he didn't have the players, and now we might bring them in this window, and next season we see Slot's real identity? I certainly think it's a more than fair point that you've made. I've said many times myself this season, I don't really know what the style to expect is. I think he certainly found something that worked for him, and the pragmatic side of him probably didn't want to rock the boat too much, especially when we got into a position where we were leading the league. So, yeah, it's interesting. There's no doubt that everybody will feel disappointed about going out in the first knockout stage of the Champions League. But Arne Slot inherited a team, came in and played the same 15, 16 players pretty much throughout the whole league. Managed to manage the minutes well, so we didn't pick up too many injuries. But yeah, I do still think it's fair to say a lot of us don't know how we're going to play next season with players that he really, really, really trusts. Do we see a huge shift from what we have? Are we still going to be pragmatic? I don't know, but I know I'm excited by it, and I know if we've won the league with some players that he's not 100% certain on and he adds some more in, surely it's going to be a good sign. Look at Alex Crook's post about Huijsen. So, I'm not sure if this is the same one, but is this the one that said his camp have given Madrid 24 hours to agree personal terms, or they're going to move towards the Premier League? If he's done something since that, mate, I'm not sure of it, but that was the last one I think I remember seeing from Alex Crook. Remember, I'm not on Twitter. I only get sent stuff that I need to see or come across stuff for my own research when I'm looking for transfer stories and stuff, but certainly exciting. This is so lovely, Stephen. Thank you, my man. Shout out to you, Craig, as well as all the hard-working moderators in the channel. Thank you all. I'd like to echo your sentiment about the moderators, to Mark and the team of moderators. They certainly leave me free to make sure that I can focus on interacting and chatting with you guys. And I wouldn't be able to be here without those moderators. So certainly love your sentiment, Stephen, and I'd echo it. Tanya, how are you, my friend? Craig, is the end of the transfer window members only, as hate rivals having a dig, maybe a poll? No, I have a system now, for me anyway, where I can filter out some certain posts, and I don't see the snidey ones anymore, to be honest with you. I don't. But I think leave it as it is for now. You know, ironically, I think we do the majority of our business early in the window anyway. So I wouldn't be expecting it to be a late thing where we have all of a sudden opposition fans. Like if we bring in some of the players we're thinking of, Tanya, they're not going to have much to brag about or banter us about, are they? Christopher said, yeah, that's the one, Craig. Keep up the good work. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Right, is this a here? Oh, so Christian Falk, remember, CF Bayern. This post from Anfield Sector, credit to the lads at Anfield Sector, said, Liverpool are suddenly in the thick of the action for Florian Wirtz. And like I've said all the way through this, Christian Falk has no benefit to bigging up Liverpool in this race for Wirtz because he represents German football. He is, of course, very connected at Bayern, and he is saying that Liverpool are firmly in the mix here for Florian Wirtz. And, you know, usually we see people from a certain country bigging up their own teams in their own country and saying player wants to remain X or Y or stay here in Germany. I'm ready to be hurt. That's all I'm going to say. I'm ready to have my heart broken again on this one because I'm daring to dream on it. LLJ. Wirtz is probably the best central attacking midfielder in the world. Definitely him. If he comes to us or stays in Germany, he is. If he goes to Manchester City, he's a fraud. Completely overhyped. But if he comes to us or maybe stays in Germany, then yeah, absolutely. Agree with everything you've said. But I will deny having ever sung his praises if he ends up in a City shirt. I just don't understand the appeal of Manchester City to anybody. I just don't get it. Money and some hollow trophies. That's I don't know. Ally plays. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Kyle Agger said, I'm happy to see an agent play hardball with Real Madrid. Not sure why so many act like they're the best club in the world as they treat their players as just pawns to manipulate as they see fit. Yep, classless, like you've said. I agree. And look, I've always understood that if Madrid came in for Dean Huijsen, the fact that he's, you know, a newly capped Spanish international, you know, you could see, you could understand the appeal and you could understand him looking to go there. But like I've always said to you, Liverpool, from my information, and I said this early in this situation, are the front runners in the Premier League. If he does stay and come to the Premier League, I think he ends up in a Liverpool shirt. But if he goes to Madrid, I think he goes to Madrid. And I've been very firm on that from day one. My understanding is that his preference in the Premier League has always been us, but the caveat has always been that worry about Real Madrid. Yeah, and it certainly feels like, I don't know, does it sometimes feel to you guys, and look, we're probably paranoid as Liverpool fans about this, but does it almost feel to you like Madrid enjoy winding us up, or almost go out of their way to take a player from under us? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm feeling a little bit salty about the whole Trent situation as well, but that's how I feel about them. And that's why Trent choosing to go there makes it even a little bit more annoying. Right, so the poll, let's go. Right, we've had almost 2,500 votes, so it's a landslide victory. So we can safely say that with 2,360 votes, 72% of those of you that voted, and thank you to everyone that did, want Rodrigo Second, Cherky third, but want Florian Wirtz at Liverpool if you had to pick one of those three. And thank you so much to everyone that took the time to vote. Right. Apart from Wirtz and Frimpong, any update on the centre-back recruitment? Nope. Nothing that I've seen. Actually, there was something about Hatto I wanted to read out to you. Bear with me. So much stuff has come in today. I am genuinely playing catch up a lot. Where's this one on him? Where's the one on Hatto? There we go. So this report from Fabrizio Romano said Liverpool and Chelsea appreciate Jarell Hatto and are both monitoring him. Now we see what they decide to do with conversations and negotiations with Ajax, because it's not an easy deal, is what Fabrizio Romano said. And we can take you back to the last couple of days where we spoke about Araujo from Benfica as another option at right-sided centre-back. And then there was the one last night from Bologna. 1 second. Where was that dude? Yeah. So there was also links there. TBR Football linked Liverpool to Liverpool, Spurs and Chelsea to Bologna centre-back John Lukumi. So they're the only two other ones I've really seen. Lukumi and the kid Araujo at Benfica. And the Benfica one certainly makes some sense, knowing that we brought in Rafael Marquez or whatever his name is from Benfica to be part of our recruitment. So certainly is possible that Liverpool have an interest there. And look, we have to have options, because what we still don't know is what's going on with Canade. And genuinely, I'm very concerned about the Ibrahima Canade situation. Not because I know something you don't, but because I just can't understand how something gets so close to being completed and then stonewalls. And I'm sorry for repeating myself on it, but I find that extremely worrying, because in any negotiation, when you get close, you pretty much get it done. But for it to stonewall all of a sudden, I don't know why. I can only think of two reasons. Either the player has got somebody whispering in his ear of a potential deal elsewhere, or maybe he's seen the money that Salah and Virgil have gotten and thinks, okay, well, now I need to up what I was willing to take even more. And maybe the gap has increased then in the two valuations, and it's just at a point where nobody wants to give ground on it. But we have to make a decision one way or the other quickly. Cannot afford to let Canade go into the transfer window. I would even say that quickly. We can't allow him over the next 2 to 3 weeks to go into this window and face the prospect of not knowing what's going to happen there. Because we need to bring in one centre-back as things stand, and we need to bring in another one if we were to lose one. So for me, Liverpool need to make a definitive, quick decision on what their best offer is to Ibrahima Canade. If he doesn't want to accept that, then the difficult decision to sell him has to happen. And we have to be a shithouse about it if he tries to say, well, I want to leave for free in a year. You have to start pushing the whole narrative of, well, if you want to go and play in the World Cup, fella, you're going to have to play, right? Because Didier Deschamps and France aren't going to pick you if you're not playing week in and week out. So we're willing to stick you on the bench, because we're not having Liverpool ridiculed again like Trent was. We're not having a player run down his deal and leave for free. So as much as it's not our modus operandi to operate that way, I think we have to learn a lesson and be firmer. And we've let it get to this point. Now we need to be decisive in how we deal with it. And look, I want him to stay. You want him to stay. We all want him to stay. But there's no point in letting it drag on through the summer and then losing out on a potential target or two that we would have moved for if we had to sell Canada, and then we end up doing it later in the window when we're behind the 8 ball. Who should we go for, said Ivan, if Darwin leaves? So I think you can take the word if and replace it with when. And for me, 1 minute past midnight on June the 1st, I want an announcement to say that he's gone. I am done with him in every way, shape and form. He has been a failure. But most importantly, the way he's spoken and disrespected the club has really angered me. So who should we get? If we're going for a like, if we're going for a central striker, the dream would be Isak. Myself, I'd want Alvarez. Ikitik is another option. Do we talk about Wirtz as a potential option to the centre? Don't know. Rodrigo's name is coming to the mix. Gyökeres looks like he's going to go to Arsenal, or at least they're making a push there. I'm sure that there are other centre-forward targets that we haven't discussed that could be under consideration, but it's the one position in world football right now that I feel like there is not a whole load of top quality strikers floating about, or top quality strikers who would be available floating about. Who's most at fault for Trent's contract situation, though? It depends what you mean by a fault. Like, at different stages, I think different people had different agendas and different... Like, do you want to go back 4 years to when he signed his last contract and ask why he didn't agree the 5 or 6 year options that were being put to him? Was it at that point where he thought, well, in 4 years' time, I'll be coming into the prime of my career and I don't want to hamstring myself with a longer deal? Was it when Klopp left? Did he think, all right, maybe I want to go? Was it the changing of the guard at sporting director and manager that Liverpool took their eye off the ball? All of them things can be true. But at the end of the day, he made the decision and he decided he didn't want to stay. And that's his prerogative to do it. But I feel like it was a situation that was calculated, intentional, and that he never had an intention of staying once it got to the point that Kloppo left. I felt like from that point onwards, he was only going in one direction. But that's just one man's opinion. I saw a report that we would pay 75 million up front and 35 million in add-ons for Wirtz. When you say up front, do you mean in one go? Because that would be a lot of money for a club to hand over in one go. Or do you mean they would agree 75 million as the basic payment with 35 million in potential add-ons? But either way, it doesn't really matter, because we often talk about release clauses having to be paid in their entirety or not, and what a big problem it could be. Well, football clubs are like us normal people as well. They can finance these things externally. So, as an example, let's say when we signed Szoboszlai and we had to pay that 60 million in one go, there was nothing to stop Liverpool financing that deal externally, borrowing the money and paying it back over 4 or 5 years and, splitting it that way. That happens in football. So if it's 75 million as the basic starting point, I would imagine it'll be split over, I don't know, how many years? 4 years, maybe? ZSM, or SZN. Excuse my stupidity, mate. Said, morning from Australia, Craig. Concerned with the lack of concrete links to a centre forward or striker within the last week or so. I'd love to see Sesko since he's leaving Leipzig, but who are you thinking? Love the channel, mate. Well, we're trying to figure out if the whole Rodrigo Wirtz thing is leading us into a situation where we might be playing with a false 9. And somebody made a good point earlier on, like, as an example, let's say we had Wirtz and he was operating through the centre as a false 9, and then you had Szoboszlai behind him and one drops deep, one runs in, one drops deep, one runs in. Or I remember one of my favourite tactics that Klopp used to use at times was the 3 forwards, Firmino, Salah and Mane would change position and just drop. And then you've got people going, well, do I follow my man over here? Do I stay in position? So I don't mean to be dismissive with an answer, but I don't know. Because if we signed Wirtz, do I think we go out and sign big on a striker? Probably not. So for me, Alvarez, if we're talking out-and-out number 9s or central strikers, Alvarez and Isak are the 2 gold standard. After that, you've got your potentials in the likes of Ekitike, in the likes of Sesko. Cunha's gone. Delap's still, I think, going to go to Chelsea, although United, I know their names have been mentioned high and wide. I still think Chelsea are in that race. Yeah, and I can't think of any other ones. But also, my man, thank you. Lovely words about the channel and appreciate you. Right, 97 subscribers to go till we get to 312,000. Thank you all so much for your support. If you haven't subscribed, though, please do. Right, Shane, how are you, my friend? So, do you think Silva or Bastoni would be possible? I've not seen anything linking Liverpool with Silva, and to be fair, his form has been a bit up and down at Benfica, from what I understand. Bastoni, no, I don't think he leaves. And why would he? You know, to be honest, like he's playing for a really good team in a place where he's really comfortable. So no, I don't think anything on Bastoni. Um, it's just really unfortunate. It looks like we're going to miss out on Huijsen. That one really stings because I'd love to see him in a Liverpool shirt. Tanya said Trent got too big for his boots. He'll pay the consequences from the vocal fans. It's if a boo hurt him, he's in for some shock. Yeah, certainly the way he'll be received at the Santiago Bernabeu when he makes a mistake. Absolutely. He's going to get chewed alive over there, Tanya, to be quite frank about it. I just, if he thinks we're being harsh with a little boo, best of luck dealing with what you're going to be getting over there. And if you think the media are bad over in England, well, wait until you see the Madrid media. Corin said, I don't think Sesko is good enough. I don't think that the price for Sesko or Kitike shows value. I can't get away from the fact that Hugo only went to Frankfurt for about 13 million, and now they're asking 80 million pound, 85 million pound. That to me just seems like we'd be overpaying. It does. I can't get away from that. Isak isn't worth 150 million pound either because he's got the injury concerns. So yeah, look, I'm unsure of some of those valuations, and I often look at the likes of Akitika and Sesko and think, well, if I'm feeling this way, I can only imagine the doubts about the value that Edwards and Hughes and the owners are having of those strikers that you mentioned. Jamie said, hi Craig, how many players do you think Liverpool ideally need to sign this window, and how many do you think they will get? So need to sign is a tough one to answer because it depends who goes. So if we play a game that Canada stays, we need a centre back, a left back, a right back, and a forward. Maybe two forwards if we lose two forwards. Don't know what's happening with Chiesa, and I'll come back to talk about that in a second. Darwin's gone, so he's going to go. I'm unsure what's happening with Jota. I hope Diaz extends. So if we can get Chiesa, the reports again coming from an Italian journalist, credit LFC transfer room for this post. They say the agent of Chiesa is unaware of any approval from Liverpool to sell Chiesa to Napoli. There's only denials, and that came from an Italian journalist. So yeah, it's hard to answer when we don't know exactly how many players are going to leave. And even the journalists in some of their posting around this have kind of said the same. Where was this one? Paul Joy said, there is the prospect of it being a busy summer for Liverpool depending on who looks to leave in search of more game time. So, don't know what's going to happen with Elliott. Don't know what's going to happen with Joe Gomez. I think Costas is going to go. Not sure where Kelleher's going to end up, but he'll move on. Do you finally move Tyler Morton on? Probably is the answer, or at least you should, in my opinion. What happens with players like Jayden Danns? What happens for young Rio? Is he going to be first team ready for next season? What happens with Trey Leone? What happens with James McConnell? What happens with Lewis Kumas? So many up in the air things like that. Then you've got the players like Trent Cohn-Doherty, young player, Cade Gordon, Calvin Ramsey. Do you draw a line under his time at Liverpool? There's a lot of stuff like that that will probably leave some stuff up in the air. I'm tending to try to just focus on the first team stuff, but there will be a lot of loans, and there are, in my opinion, players that we should be able to say at this point won't be making it. And Ben Doak's name can go into the mix of ones that future will be up in the air this summer as well. And we could bring in a nice few quid. So dream scenario for me as a Liverpool fan is we go out there, start of the window, get 2 in early doors, then when it opens back up again 6 days later, get all of our major incomings done and the ones that we know we need right now If we can get 3 or 4 of those done early, then let the situation develop, see who leaves, who needs to be replaced. I'd be really happy with that. That would be a dream scenario for me, to get the big stuff done early and then maybe react to who wants to go and stuff like that. King Seven said, what are the odds of us signing Isak and Wirtz? Probably 0.001% would be, and I'm probably still being generous. Right. Chris, lovely to meet you, Chris. You said, first time posting here, Craig. Thanks for all your content. Your channel is a nice release from the lonely job of looking after me ma who has dementia. Mate, I'm really sorry. It's such a horrible disease, isn't it? I've had an uncle who passed away as well with dementia, and it just speaks to the character of yourself, mate, that you're there looking after your mum. I'm so honoured to be a part of your day, really. I'm not trying to be smart. I genuinely am. It's the fact that you guys let me into your homes, or have me as part of your daily routine, means the world to me, mate. Especially good people like yourself who have a very difficult situation with your mum, my man. So much love, Chris. Thank you. Stuff like that, honestly, mate, it really does mean a lot to me. Like, I'm a very emotional fella, and appreciate you. I appreciate your trust in me as well, mate. Thank you. Excuse me. Right, Colin Brooks, Craig, getting into this transfer window, we need to be ruthless with our squad. Yes, we do. I agree. Craig, are we looking at João Pedro? Or Craig, Liverpool are looking at João Pedro? Yeah, Paul, I covered that one, mate, in the late video last night, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check for you, bro. Yeah, so the Telegraph said Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea are showing interest in Brighton forward João Pedro. 23-year-old Brazilian has 30 goals and 70 appearances for Brighton, and the trio of clubs are said to have multiple options, and in Liverpool's case, a new number 9 is apparently a priority. The reason that I don't really bring up João Pedro's name that much is I've seen that Brighton wanted 100 million. Now, I don't mind João Pedro as a footballer. He looks decent, but I'd still have reservations about him at a realistic price. But at that price, I would have no interest personally. They'd have to drop their demands a lot, because he's had injuries this season, and I just don't see him as being anywhere near that valuation. Craig, would you take Jonathan David on a free, but only if we got Wirtz? Ooh. Do you know, I probably would in that scenario. Yeah, I probably would. Him on a free if we got Wirtz. Now, for what it's worth, I think there are clubs in Italy who are looking to sign him, last I checked in. But yeah, in that scenario, I wouldn't object. I think it would be clever if you brought in and spent the money on somebody like that, and then you brought in another option. Yeah, that would be a very interesting decision. Ash said 15 of them 30 goals were penalties, so 15 goals from open play in 70 games isn't great. Would getting rid of Jota be ruthless, said Paolo. Not sure if he deserves another season or not. To be honest, he was pretty lethal before his injury. Might be good to keep him as a rotation player. I'm all up for ruthless, Paolo, this summer. And for me, I've said this on multiple streams, I would be looking to sell Jota and Darwin in this window for differing reasons. There's no questioning Jota's contribution to the club, and there's no questioning that he deserved to come to Liverpool. But the injuries and the fact his form has been off really does make me feel like if an offer came in that was one the club would entertain financially, I would move him on. I would far prefer to move him on with Darwin than to move on Luis Diaz, who I just think should be renewed. What about Ferguson from Brighton instead of Pedro? He's just nowhere near the finished article. Even at West Ham, who's been on loan for the second part of the season, I need to see a lot more from him in the coming years. Even as an Irish fan, I need to see more from him. I like Evan Ferguson, but he's not ready to come to a club like Liverpool, not at all. And then you still have injury concerns as well. Right, let me just check through, make sure nothing new has come in the last couple of moments, because genuinely I finish a stream sometimes and bang, a story comes out like that. So what do you guys think with regards to Jota? Would you guys be looking to sell him? So, yeah. Quick straw poll on that. We'll do it on Jota. Keep or sell. We'll do a quick one because we've only got about 10 minutes left. So we'll do a quick poll on that. One sec. Right. Okay. Right, so Jota, keep or sell. And we'll come back to this just before we finish up. And we'll see what people think. I was going to say Jota Cox Wilkins. I mean, that's how Jota I am on the brain, Eddie. Said we can't renew everyone. Let's just start with renewing Canada. It'd be a good start. Look, I think we should be decisive this summer with fringe players in particular. You know, if we don't see a future for Doak, sell him. If we don't see a real future for Tyler Morton, sell him. If we don't see a future for Cade Gordon, sell him. If we don't see a future for Calvin Ramsey, sell him. If we don't see a future for Lewis Kumas, sell him. Genuinely. If you do see a future for them, by all means. But this loaning out stuff, the Ryan Kent situation in particular, that really wound me up. Because you got to play, and same with Nat Phillips. Players who never really got to go and establish themselves anywhere, but were just farmed out on loan after loan after loan. And I don't like that happening at big clubs. I think you need to be far more decisive in your decision making about these younger players for their own good as well as, of course, the club finances. Aaron Waddell, thank you, my man. Said, Craig, hope you're doing well. Love the Frimpong signing as well. Yeah, I'm really upbeat, mate, that we've got some positive news. Because obviously over the last week, we're all fed up with the teeth talking about the Trent scenario, and at least now we've answered the question of, well, who's going to come in and battle with Connor Bradley? If Nunes is gone, then Jota needs to stay as backup. The more players we have to replace, the less likely will be to cover the positions we need to strengthen. Look, Jack, totally understand where you're coming from. And we haven't even introduced Chiesa into this conversation yet. So I totally understand and appreciate where you're coming from. I would be fine if we kept Jota, sold Chiesa, and sold Darwin. I would be fine if we sold Darwin and Jota and kept Chiesa. I would be fine with any of those permutations as long as Darwin Núñez is sold. Yeah, I think it's more than reasonable to say you don't want too much change and you don't want too much work to do. But if we're realistic about looking back at this season, it's always felt like we've never really had a number 9. You know, Jota hasn't worked out this season. Darwin hasn't worked out. And Diaz isn't a natural central player and always looks like a fish slightly out of water. So we've almost gone through this season without a centre forward. So we definitely need to sort it out. Ash said, Jota has been well off it recently. Given his injuries and age, should look to sell whilst we still get a decent price for him. Luis Diaz can play as a false 9, said Aaron. I don't like him there personally. I prefer him off the left. I think he looks far more dangerous off the left. Would you take Yamal for Liverpool in a few years? Would I take him? Mate, I mean, I did a little short on him the other day, and I couldn't say enough positive stuff about Lamine Yamal. He is, look, you're never getting him out of Barcelona. What does he have, a €1 billion release clause at the minute? The kid is the real deal. Barcelona should never let that lad leave, and I don't think he ever will. But would I take him? Of course. You know, any football fan, their right mind will take him. But he's not going to leave Barcelona, is he? And why would he? You know, he's everything I love about football, Yamal. A kid out there with no fear, looking like he's enjoying life, looking like he knows he belongs there, looking like he's got the world at his feet, terrifying defenders, just playing the game with a freedom and a level of expression and enthusiasm that reminds me why I love this sport. He's a joy to watch, and as much as I fear he's going to cost us maybe some European Cups down the line against Barca or whatever, the kid's career is just going to be something we all sit back and watch unfold in awe. So Barca have won La Liga. They're 2-0 up now with a few minutes to go. So that's Barcelona winning the league. Congratulations to La Blaugrana on winning the league. And they've won the Copa del Rey as well. And I think the Super Cup, if my memory's right. So good season there for Hansi Flick. And Trent FC ending up with nothing. Zip, nada, fuck all. Zero, no trophies. But they did get to cry over the Ballon d'Or that Vinny Jr. didn't win, so... Actually, Yamal is a superstar, best player I've seen at that age. Yeah, he's incredible. Absolutely incredible. You know, Messi developed a little bit later, really. But look, you know, Lamine Yamal... What I love about him is just the attitude. And I mean that in the good way. He just looks like he is a 17-year-old going out for a kickabout with his mates, enjoying his life. And that, I don't even want to use the word arrogance because I don't think it's fair. That self-confidence and inner belief just shines through in the way the young man plays the game. It's beautiful to see. Sean said, Barca are going to dominate in Spain for a while, in my opinion. Trent is going to regret his choice big time. Well, I certainly want Barcelona to dominate Spain over Real Madrid. Yeah, and the way they go about it as well, bringing through the players through La Masia, and they've got a great crop there as well at the minute. So, yeah, it's... I didn't think Barca were going to win the league this season. I didn't. I thought it would be Madrid, but just... do you know what? I don't know if I was a Barca fan that I could cope with the high line they play. Their nerves must be gone all the time. Because when I say high line, I mean 6 inches inside their own half high line. Like, ridiculously high. It's high risk, high reward. And more often than not, it's been reward for them. Right, ladies and gents, I have a late night news video to record. And I'm going to get that done ASAP. That'll be out in the next 25 minutes or so. I really am unsure if I'm going to be live tomorrow. The plan is to take Friday and Saturday off live streaming. But, of course, if the transfer news dictates it, I'll jump on to make sure that we can have a conversation if a story breaks. Just going to finish up with this poll before I say goodnight to everyone, because I always forget the polls. So we asked, keep or sell Diogo Jota. We've had over 820 votes in 6 minutes, and 77% say that they would sell Diogo Jota. Right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you all. Thank you for an incredible, fun night again. Keep an eye out for that video dropping as well. And if I see you tomorrow, you'll know something's happening with regards to transfers. If not, I'll catch up with you all on Sunday evening. Much love for all of your support as always. Do drop a like for me before you head off. And don't forget, if you want me to call you anything on Cameo or WHARTON, link in the description.